Hey friends, welcome back to the channel and to Tech Club, the ongoing series where we discuss tools and apps and tech that we can use to help build a life that we love. This is the annual What is on my iPhone video. My iPhone is the productivity device that I have on me at all times. I use it for, on average, around 4 hours a day. And so in this video, I'm gonna run you through all of the apps and all the workflows and all the widgets that I use on my iPhone every day to run my business and to be more productive and to spend my time on my phone just a little bit more intentionally. So let's get started with the home screen. And there are a few widgets on the home screen. The first one is a widget from an app called Fantastical, which is the calendar app that I've been using since like 2015. This widget is handy because it shows me the date and it shows me any upcoming events. Then it shows me my calendar and the monthly view, and I can see all of the stuff that I've got going on that's coming up in my life. And because I run my life through my calendar, this is a super useful thing to have on my iPhone as the very first thing I see on the home screen. And if I want to add an event, I can hit the plus icon, I can type in whatever I want, and the natural language processing on the calendar will just automatically put in all the details of the event. Next up on the home screen, we have Apple Notes. Now, I do use loads of different note-taking apps, but I find that if I need to jot something down quickly on my iPhone or on my Mac, then sticking it in Apple Notes is often a very reasonable destination to put the thing. So you can see I've got folders here for health and longevity and relationships and some startup ideas and people I want to stay in touch with and business planning and music and my bucket list. Whether I'm on a train where there's no signal or on a plane where there's no signal, I can just trust that anything I put into Apple Notes will just always be there. It never has any synchronization issues, and it's just a very reliable workhorse of a note-taking app. Next up on the list, we have an exciting app that you might not have heard of, and that is called a Reader. Now, Reader is basically a glorified RSS reader. It basically integrates all of the blogs and email newsletters that I follow. And if I ever want to read an article, then I'll often save it to Reader first. And the great thing about Reader is that firstly, it's just a very nice way of reading articles. But also, if I want, I can double click to highlight a particular paragraph of an article. I could leave a comment on that particular highlight if I want. And then once I've read it, I can archive it and move on to the next article. But the real reason why this highlighting thing is very cool is because all of my highlights from any article I've ever read are then automatically saved into my Readwise folder, more on that later. And then those highlights get synchronized with Notion and Obsidian, which are two other note-taking apps I use for different purposes. And again, I'll talk more about those later in the video. All right, next up we have another widget, and this is from an app called Things 3, which is what I use as my personal to-do list. So this is the inbox widget where currently there's nothing in there. And that's because I try and keep my to-do list inbox relatively clean. But if I ever have a thought of anything that I need to capture or remember or do, a task or notes from anything, usually I'll just open the inbox, I'll hit the plus button, and I'll be able to add whatever I want as the task. And then when I have stuff that's in the inbox, it immediately shows up on the home screen. And so I can see if like the inbox is starting to overflow with stuff so that I can go in the inbox and I can decide to do something or categorize the relevant to-dos in the inbox. So I've got folders for Bob, Dan, and Tintin, who are people on my team that I might be delegating stuff to. And then for my own personal life, I've got relationships, fitness, work, life admin, fun and hobbies, learning, spirituality, and then my bucket list. And within each of these different areas, so within relationships, I've got 4 different projects for like 4 different goals that I wanna I aspire to this year. So great boyfriend, group adventure leader, dinner party chef, and family connections. Within fitness, I'd like to be a cooking adventurer, and I'd like to improve my flexibility and mobility so that I can do more acro yoga, and I'd like to build an athletic, muscular body. And then within each of these projects, I use the description feature as part of things to be able to just sort of write down what are my goals for the year. So you can see on this project in January, I set myself a goal of what I wanted to achieve in terms of weight training and my DEXA scan results. And then as the year's gone on, like in March, I had a session with my fitness coach, Dan, and we talked about something that we can do with protein and creatine and like workout changes. Then within work, we've got a bunch of different projects that are happening. Life admin is a general catch-all category for just random stuff that comes up. Within fun and hobbies, I have projects for World of Warcraft and for music. And then within learning, this year, I want to focus on fitness and longevity, and I want to become more well-versed in those fields. All right, next up on the list, we have the camera app and Instagram. Neither of these are particularly interesting, but I have the Instagram app on my homepage to remind me to post Instagram stories, which is just a generally good thing to do when you are an online influencer, as it were. And by the way, if you haven't followed me on Instagram, then you might want to follow me on Instagram. I post pics and stories and stuff. All right, next up we have Slack, which is the messaging app we use for our team. We call ourselves the A-Team. Get it? Lol. And so it's kind of split up into 2 sections. We've got Content Squad and we've got Money Squad. I also have a little category for my team. So this is everyone on my team. And one thing that's fun is there's a daily number ones channel in which every day, in theory, everyone on the team posts one thing that they're going to do in terms of health, work, and relationships. All right, next up on the list, we have Notion, which is a fantastic productivity app that we use for loads of internal team related stuff. I also use Notion personally for my relationship reviews. So if you're interested, here are some questions that me and my girlfriend go through to help us improve the health of our relationship. And then this is also where we have have all of our kind of team documentation where we take notes from meetings, and we've got a company handbook. And the company handbook talks about our values and our probation periods and details about contracts and details about salary and paid time off and perks for working for Ali Abdaal. And then we have this meetings hub where we take notes from every meeting that we've had, and we track action points, and we make sure that each action point has someone doing it and a due date so that it actually gets done. And then again, here we categorize things by content squad and commercial squad. So within content squad, we have all our social media, our newsletter, our book, our YouTube channel, our podcast, all of the free content that we produce. And then in commercial squad, we've got all the stuff related to our courses, our part-time YouTuber academy, our sponsorships, our affiliate partnerships, and any products that we might want to produce or sell further down the line. And the other cool thing is the Readwise Notion integration that I've got here. So any book that I've ever highlighted on Kindle or on Shortform shows up over here along with all the highlights. For example, this is the book Wanting by Luke Burgess, which I read in February earlier this year. I've got 79 highlights from it, and they all show up on this Notion page, which is very convenient. And then similarly, all of the articles that I read on Readwise Reader also appear in this Notion page. And so these are all the articles that I've highlighted. So this is an article I read around hiring a chief of staff, and I highlighted a handful of things, and they've just automatically appeared in Notion, which is very, very convenient. All right, next we have MyFitnessPal, which I used for calorie tracking when I feel like it. We have Audible, of course, which is what I've been using for literally years, 6 years now, 7 years now, to listen to loads and loads of audiobooks. We can flick through all of my audiobooks if we really want to. Got 243 audiobooks on Audible. And the most recent one I was listening to was Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, which is absolutely sick. Yeah, and in total, I've spent 1 month and 15 days of my life listening to audiobooks on Audible. I feel like it probably should be more than that, but that's quite a lot of time. And then we have another Things widget on my home screen, which instead of showing me my inbox, it shows me my today list. Now this is why I really like Things 3, because it categorizes stuff either by today, upcoming, anytime, or someday. And so in the mornings, what I can do is I can look at my anytime list, and I can go through the list and I can decide what are the things I actually want to do today. So I can select body measurements, I can hit when, and I can hit today, and it's going to show up in the today list. And I could do that with a couple of tasks, and now I've got them in my today list, which means they show up in my widget, so that when I look at my phone, I can see, oh, these are the things I wanted to do today. And then as I do the things, I can just tick them off, and then they will disappear from the list, and I can feel productive in having gotten things done. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, I'd love it if you could drop a little thumbs up. It really helps support the channel. Now we come to the dock. Now there's two not interesting apps here, which is iMessage and WhatsApp, but the interesting ones in this are Obsidian and Superhuman. So let's start with Superhuman. Superhuman is my email client of choice. I've been using Superhuman since around 2018, I think, and it's by far the best email client I've ever used. I also use it with Bob, who's my assistant these days, and they've got team features, which means that I can delegate certain emails to different people in my team. And it's just overall the best email experience that I've ever used, and I've literally been using it for the last 5 years. I think we now have an affiliate discounty deal with them, so I'll put that linked in the video description if you want to check it out for whatever reason. But then the other interesting app on this dock is Obsidian, and Obsidian is my main personal note-taking choice for personal knowledge management. And so if I'm taking personal notes on anything that I might want to reference later on, or I want to build into part of my personal knowledge management system, those go straight into Obsidian. And then in Obsidian, that's where I'm building up all the research for the book that I'm working on. And that's where I take personal notes on anything business related that I don't want the team to see just yet. And then conveniently, Obsidian also works with the Readwise synchronization. So you can see this Don't Be a Commodity article that I highlighted earlier while filming this video has already synchronized to Obsidian, and it's shown up with the URL and with the highlights, so that if I want to do something with that stuff that I've highlighted, like turn it into a video or turn it into an issue of my email newsletter or reference it when I'm doing my book stuff, all of that is super easy to do with Obsidian. Now with all these apps that we're talking about in this video, increasingly moving to you need an account, you need a subscription, one thing that's really at risk is our data. And that's why very conveniently, the sponsor for this video happens to be Incogni. Incogni is a company that helps you protect your data. Now every year, the number and the scope of data breaches continues to rise. And in fact, in 2021, there was 68% more data breaches than in the year before. And basically your personal information is being published and sold online without you being aware of it. So for example, health insurance companies are partnering with data brokers that sell your data to health insurance companies so that they can raise your premiums based on your online browsing activity. But the good news is that you have a right to privacy in that you can in fact contact all these companies and ask them to delete the data they have stored for you. The problem is no one does this because it just takes absolutely ages and you have no idea who these companies are or where they've got your data from. And that's where Incogni comes in really handy. It's built by the guys at Surfshark, whose VPN I've been using for the last over a year now. That's genuinely a really good product. And they've built this platform Incogni where you basically give it a handful of details and then it automatically reaches out to basically every data brokerage platform and automatically requests that your data is removed from those websites. I've started using this personally and I pay for the annual subscription because for me, data breaches and like my data being out there on the internet, especially personal information, because I've not been as secure with it in the past as I would have liked to be, It's out there on the internet. It's really annoying. It causes problems in my life. And so the fact that there's a company like Incogni that can automatically help remove some or all of it off the internet, that is just an absolute godsend. So if that sounds up your street and you'd like to protect your data as well, then head over to incogni.com/Abdaal. And if you're one of the first 100 people to hit that link, which is also in the video description, then you'll get a whopping 60% off the premium subscription. So thank you so much Incogni for sponsoring this video, and let's get on with the apps. All right, we now move to page 2 where there's some more cool stuff going on. Cool in my opinion, anyway. And the first thing we have is a widget for the app Otter. Now, Otter is really good because you can record anything or upload any kind of audio, and it will automatically transcribe the thing that you're saying in that audio. And it uses AI tools and stuff to create like a little AI transcript. So for example, with a single tap of this microphone icon, it's going to open up Otter and it's going to automatically start recording everything I say. And it's also going to be transcribing it in real time. And this is super handy if I'm walking, for example, and I want to record a voice note for a video idea that I've had, or if I've been listening to an audiobook and I want to record my thoughts in audio format. Next up on the home screen, we have 2 widgets, which are both for the app Day One, which is the journaling app that I've been using since around 2016. Now, the first widget is the On This Day widget, because I've been using Day One for so long that I often have interesting things that prop up on this day 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And it's just really interesting to look back at what I was doing in terms of journal, in terms of photos that I took. Even if I do handwritten journaling, then I will scan it into Day One so I can see what I was writing in my handwritten journals with all the different dabbling with handwritten journalings I've done over the years. And then the next widget is also from Day One, and this is a journaling prompt that changes every day. So this one is what went well today. So I can open up this journaling prompt and I can just answer it. And that's a pretty low friction way to journal. If I'm doing proper journaling, I don't do it on my phone because I don't like tapping on my phone. I'll do it on my Mac or on my iPad. But it's nice to have these prompts on the homepage because it just reminds me to just be a little bit more mindful as I'm going about my day. Next on the list, we have ClickUp. And ClickUp is a project management app, which is somewhat similar to Notion, but it's more specifically designed for project management. And so we've switched to ClickUp recently for purely our video and content pipeline. So for example, everything starts off as an idea, and then it moves into the needs title, thumbnail, and hook column, and then it gets approved by me. And then with some videos, they need research from my various team members. Everything then needs my writing input to kind of put everything together and finalize the script. And then it needs filming, for example, this What's on my iPhone 14 Pro video. Once it's filmed, then it needs editing, and then there are various videos being edited, needs edit approving, needs scheduling, and then published. And then it goes into a repurposing pipeline so my team can turn it into like an Instagram carousel or a LinkedIn post or, you know, all that kind of fun stuff. If you're interested in learning more about this exact production process that we use for our YouTube channel, that's all the stuff that we teach in our part-time YouTuber Academy. I'll link that down below if you want to check it out. All right, next up we have Spotify, which I use for music and also for podcasts these days. I've tried all the different podcast apps over the years. There are even some that synchronize with Notion and with Obsidian, and you can take highlights from podcasts, but I kept on finding that none of those were ever reliable enough, whereas Spotify is just reliable. It's basic, it's boring, it gets the job done. I'm currently listening to The Witch Trials of J.K. Rowling, which is absolutely sick. And I've also recently been listening to the Empire podcast, which is about the history of empires, and the first several episodes are about the history of the British Empire. And I've also really been enjoying Deep Questions by Cal Newport and the Brendan Burchard Marketing podcast, if anyone's interested. And then I have my liked songs, Ed Sheeran, like Taylor Swift, and like James Bay, and like, you know, just basic stuff. I have a very basic taste in like mainstream pop, singer-songwriter, musical theater, and Disney songs. That's like my absolute jam. All right, next up we have another widget, and this is for an app called Todoist, which, yes, is another task management and to-do list app. Now, why do I use both Todoist and Things? Honestly, I wish I could just use one, but Things does not have team input. And because I have an assistant, I like to delegate things to Barb, my assistant, and so I need an app that has team features built in. And so the distinction I have is that I use Things for anything that's personal related, for my own personal to-dos, but then anytime I want to delegate something to Barb, my assistant, I put it into Todoist, and then Barb deals with it from there. So for example, today I need to film various things for American Express. I've asked Barb to scout for some apartments in London that I might want to move to. I've asked Barb to figure out what's happening with the plants in the studio because they're dying and have got some kind of parasitic infection to them. So that's why I have 2 different apps that I use for managing my to-do list. Next, we have Apollo, which is a client for Reddit if I occasionally want to waste time scrolling Reddit. We have Loom, which is a great little app that we use within our team to create videos for each other, and it's great for asynchronous working. So for example, if I want to give feedback to the team on a proposal they've put together, I can just read through the proposal, I can record a Loom, usually on my Mac, where it records my desktop and then I can just talk through the thing. Or if I'm giving feedback to our video editors, I can just sort of live react to the video once it's out. And the great thing about Loom is you can also watch things at double or at 2.5x speed if you really want to, so you end up saving quite a lot of time. We have FT Edit, which is a news app from the Financial Times, where basically every day they just give you 5 or 6 or 7 different stories, and it's a very manageable way of vaguely keeping up with the news, because otherwise it's just on an infinite feed and then you have to scroll a lot, and then it just sucks you into the rabbit hole, whereas FT literally limits it to just 7 stories. And then we have Safari, which is my web browser of choice when I'm on my phone. By the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, you might like to sign up to Sunday Snippets. That is my completely free weekly email where every Sunday I send a very short email that has a few thoughts of things that I've been reading, things I've been learning, things I've been thinking about that week. And then usually as I discover new apps and productivity tools and techniques, I also include them as part of that email. And so that'll give you more of a real-time look at what I'm actually doing and what I'm testing out if you're interested in that kind of thing. It's completely free. It'll always be free. You can unsubscribe anytime and you can just hit the link down in the video description or go to abdaal.com/Sunday if you want to check that out. All right, now we come to page 3. Lol. Is this fun? Shall we keep going? Let's keep going. Why not? And the first thing we have here, this is sick, by the way. This is something I recommend for everyone, is the Apple Photos widget. Because again, this is helpful because it resurfaces memories. On this day 7 years ago, 25th of April, 2016. This is Catherine and Charlotte and Alex, like medic friends of mine from my college. My goodness, there's this photo from 25th of April, 2013. So literally on this day, 10 years ago. These are my friends Sai and Sophie, who were medics in the year above me. So they're now senior doctors at this point. It's just cool. Look at how cute I was 10 years ago. How weird I looked. Photo from Pakistan. Oh, photo from 2016. Photo from June 2017 with Catherine and Tom. Photo of Mr. Latimer and Will. Photo of me and Jake from 2021 where we decided to dress up. Photo of me and Shuaib from last year. And this is great. Like every day I just look at the featured photos of the widget and I just flick and there's just like 7 or 8 photos that just remind me of like, oh, these memories. This is cute stuff. Then we have the Audible widget, which shows me what I'm listening to at the moment. This is handy to have as a widget because when I end up scrolling through my phone, it reminds me visually that, oh yeah, I could just continue listening to this thing on Audible. And then we have the Kindle widget as well, which tells me what I'm reading on Kindle, which at the moment was The Lost Metal by Brandon Sanderson. Next, we have the Tesla app, which lets me pre-warm my car when I want to leave the house, which is just generally nice. We have the Kindle app itself, and we just like tons and tons and tons of books on Kindle. Kindle is one of my favorite things, and if I have some spare time, I will often just open up the Kindle app on my phone and just continue to read. At the moment, I'm reading The CEO's Secret Weapon, which is about how to work with an assistant. We have Lightroom, which is a photo editing app that I occasionally use if I want to edit photos. We've got Day One, which is the journaling app we've already talked about. We have QuickBooks, which is the accounting software that we use to manage all of our businesses. We have Readwise, which is the company behind the Reader app that we already talked about. The daily review is quite fun. It's just like 6 highlights every day that you just kind of go through. This is one of my highlights from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This is a highlight from Wanting. This is a highlight from Nathan Barry's $1 billion blog. So that's kind of nice as another way of like consuming some useful knowledge rather than some waste of time knowledge like social media apps often do. And then we have Shortform, which is my favorite app for reading book summaries. So I was last reading Made to Stick by Chip and Dan Heath. And it's just great. Like Shortform gives really fantastic summaries of books. It's better than any other book summary service that I've found. We also happen to have an affiliate relationship with them because I love it so much. I reached out to them and we got a deal. So there'll be a discount link down below if you want to check it out. Oh, and by the way, if you're enjoying this video so far, I'd love it if you can leave a comment. What is your favorite app on your phone that I might not know about? Because I always like trying these new apps and testing them out and reviewing them on the channel. And I'd love to get some recommendations of things that you guys think I should try out. All right, final page of apps that I actually use. So KS Fit is an app for my treadmill. I have a treadmill desk next to me. And actually, thanks to having this treadmill thing under my desk, I've gotten in so many more steps in the last few months than I did before. We've got Gumroad, which is a service that lets creators sell stuff online. And I've got the app because I've bought loads of things online and it means I can just consume them on my phone if I want. MyFitnessPal for tracking calories. Twitter, not interesting. YouTube Studio, which is the app that YouTubers use to keep on top of their analytics and all that kind of stuff. Oh, this video's doing well. I try not to spend a lot of time on YouTube Studio because for me, making videos is more about the joy of the craft of making videos and about trying to create a video that's helpful to at least one person. And I find the less I look at the numbers and the analytics, the happier I am. But my team members are spending a lot of time looking at the analytics and then coming up with insights and stuff so we can hopefully make this YouTube channel better over time. We have the YouTube app, Google Photos, nothing interesting. Trading 212 is actually the app that I use for investing. Oh, we can see I've made a £131.98 return on my £1,000 investment. Yes, winning. If you're interested, we also have a deal with Trading 212 because whenever I use an app, we try and email them to get a deal with them. And if you sign up with a link in the video description, that will give you and me both a free share worth up to £100, something like that. I can't remember exactly what the deal is, but you can check it out if you want. We have Guitar Tabs, which is a sick app that I use to get guitar chords so that I can play and sing along on the guitar or on the piano if I want. We've got the app for the Harvard Business Review that I've subscribed to recently. I even have a physical copy on my desk right now because as I'm running a business now, I like reading Harvard Business Review. I'm one of those guys. We've got Speechify, which is a really great text-to-speech service. I often use it on my Mac rather than my iPhone, but it's nice to have access to it on my iPhone. And then we've got Justin Guitar, which is how I've been learning the guitar since 2014, using his website initially and then his app, and it just reminds me that, oh, the app exists. And when I see that, I think, maybe I should just learn a new thing on the guitar. I often don't because I often have something else that I'd rather be doing. but it's just a nice visual reminder again that it's there and helps me use my time a little bit more intentionally. Facebook Messenger, LinkedIn, Teachable, Discord, Bob, Fitness app. Oh, Fitness app is kind of fun. This is an app that I use with my fitness coach. His name's Dan, and it's sort of like a white labeled app that tracks all of my things. It connects to MyFitnessPal. I can upload progress pics on this app, and this is where Dan also programs my workouts. So that when I go to the gym, I just open it up and it tells me what I need to do. I hit start now. And then when I'm at the gym, I just execute on the thing. And this has been so helpful to have my workouts pre-programmed ahead of time so I don't have to think about it too hard. Anyway, I hope you found something in this video that was vaguely helpful. If you liked this video, you might like to check out this video over here, which is about my Trident system for managing my time, the Trident calendar method. That video's been doing super well recently, and loads of people have commented and actually sent an email saying it's really helped them manage their own time. And that's somewhat loosely based on these apps, but it's actually more a philosophy of time management based on calendars. So check that out over there if you're interested in being more productive. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you hopefully in the next video. Bye-bye.